Hi, my name's Sarah, and this is my sister Katie.
And we just want to remind everybody that
Girls like rock too.
On Saturday, May 3rd, Sarah and I had the pleasure of seeing Bush live in concert in Kitchener, Ontario at the Auditorium.
Yes.
I've always been a Bush fan. I'm not a major Bush fan, but a Bush fan. Sarah and I were old enough to remember the height of Bush.
Yeah.
Not the beginnings of Bush, but the height.
That mid to late 90s
Yeah.
time when they were
Yeah.
huge. Yeah, totally.
We remember Gavin Rossdale, the hottie. Everybody
yeah.
loved Gavin Rossdale.
Gavin Rossdale. Oh, yeah, for sure.
I remember Sarah even had an issue of YM, a teen magazine they no longer publish, and Gavin Rossdale was on the cover.
Yeah, he was huge.
He was.
In the
He was a
mid-90s.
heartthrob. Still is.
Yeah, was a heartthrob and still is a heartthrob.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Gavin has aged like a fine wine.
He has,
Yes.
definitely. Yeah, yeah.
So I'm also, if anyone's been listening to our podcast, will know, that I'm a huge Gwen Stefani fan. Gavin Rossdale and Gwen Stefani, they were in a relationship on and off for upwards of 20 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
A long time. It
Gosh.
included a marriage, a nasty divorce, 3 kids. So over the years, I've just kept on top of Gavin Rossdale news because of being a Gwen Stefani fan.
Yeah, for sure. They were a hot couple back in the day.
They were a hot couple back in the day. Yeah. Sometimes I still YouTube him and Gwen singing Glycerin together.
Yeah. No, they went well together.
They did.
It's too bad.
Yeah.
But
So back on the subject of Bush, I've always liked Come Down. That's always been one of my go-to songs if I'm in like a certain kind of melancholy mood. I love the track Swallowed. That is my favorite Bush track.
good track.
Good
Yeah,
track.
It's a classic.
Yeah, super raw and emotional.
Yep.
Yes, so those 2 songs and their other hits I've always enjoyed.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they have some great hits.
They do. They do
Bush.
have
Yeah,
some great hits. They have a really strong discography, I would
Yeah.
say, of singles.
They do. Yeah.
Over the years, they've toured fairly often.
Yeah. Yes, they have, especially
Yeah.
in the last few years.
Yeah,
Okay.
they've really picked up on their touring.
Yeah.
They've come to our area a few times, but I never took the plunge to buy tickets.
Yeah. Yeah, in
Uh,
Toronto. I think
Yeah, they played in Toronto at the Moles. Oh, sorry, not the Moles Amphitheater. What is it now? Budweiser Stage.
Budweiser
they played.
Stage,
Yeah, they played
Yep.
that last summer.
Oh, okay.
I believe they played in Windsor at one of the at the casino there.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
So they've come around our area, and I've always thought oh, it'd be cool to see them, but never actually went for it. Then randomly, a few months ago, my husband tells me, "Oh, I really like the song Come Down by Bush," and then within a week, Bush just so happens to announce a show in Kitchener, Ontario, which is 30 minutes away from our house.
Yeah, so random.
It was so random.
Yeah.
It's a very random spot. No offense, Kitchener, but a very random spot for a big 90s alternative rock band to play.
I thought so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So with it being on a Saturday night, close to our house, tickets were reasonably priced
Yep.
for concert ticket prices these days. It was just meant to be. And I think, Sarah, you would agree it was a good show. It was totally meant to be, as it was a really good show.
Yeah, I figured it was going to be good because Bush are a very well established band.
They are.
This isn't their first time going on tour.
No.
But my expectations were exceeded. It
Yes.
was very, very good. I really enjoyed the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I went into it thinking, oh, I won't like this show by any means, but I thought, okay, it'll be a good show. But I left on a real high.
I love that when you
concert
leave
high?
the concert high.
It was,
yeah.
it was
Yeah.
a really,
Me too.
really good show.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just great energy. They seemed like they were genuinely happy to be there.
Very happy to be there. Gavin a few times was like, this is a sold out show.
Yeah,
Let's make the
that must
best
feel
of
good.
this.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And he mentioned that they've been touring Canada.
Yeah,
Canadian
they've done a
Pride.
bunch of
Yeah.
different Canadian cities. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, so before Sarah and I dive more into the concert and our more descriptive review of it, I thought we'd just do a little bit of a background of Bush. So a little bit of a brief history of Bush. They formed in 1992 in London, England. They came out with their debut album, 16 Stone, in 1994. I didn't realize, I always knew it did well, but I didn't realize it did as well as it did until I researched a bit for this episode. So 16 Stone was actually certified 6 times multi-platinum.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
Yeah.
I knew it was big, but I didn't realize it did that well.
No. So there were a lot of hit singles from this album.
Yeah.
Come Down and Glycerin. I would argue probably their most successful singles to date.
I would say so.
Yeah. And then even
those
the
are
other
huge.
3 singles, Machine Head, Everything Zen,
yeah.
Little Things, they all did really well. It was a
Yeah.
good album.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So this album came out in 1994, and as I said, they were from London, England. We also have to think this was the time of definitely maybe Blur Park life.
Yeah.
So
it was just a different sound.
it
in
was
the UK.
very grungy, and in England, it was just all about Britpop at that time.
Yeah, at that point, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm not surprised they didn't do well in their own homeland.
Yeah.
But in the States, however, they did really well. They ended up selling 20 million albums in the States.
Wow. That's
So,
crazy.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, that sound, that alternative grunge sound,
Yeah.
right? That was just really popular in the States.
Oh my gosh.
Especially in
And
1994.
as I said, exactly, 16 Stone came out in 1994. This
So-
was the height of Pearl Jam. Kurt Cobain had just killed himself, so Nirvana was all at the height. Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, all these
Yeah.
bands were huge.
Yeah.
So yeah, they did. Oh, it's funny. So I was actually going to mention Hole because
Oh, yeah.
Celebrity Skin, or sorry, Live Through This came out in '94, and I didn't know this, but apparently Gavin and Courtney Love dated.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that either.
a little bit of random music trivia for
Wow,
you. Yeah, I guess
okay.
in between his relationship at one point with Gwen, he dated Courtney Love for a bit, and
Oh.
apparently she got a lot of flack for it because he sounded like Kurt Cobain.
Oh.
So it was after Kurt died.
Oh,
Which
okay.
I don't know. I don't know if I would say Gavin Rossdale sounds like Kurt Cobain, but maybe I'd have to look more into it.
I wouldn't have said that, but
No.
yeah. Again, I'd have to listen
Yeah.
a bit more to Kurt Cobain and
Yeah.
Gavin Rossdale.
So yeah, they did really well in the 90s. Razor Blade Suitcase came out in 1997. Again, the height of the alternative rock era, did really well with the single Swallowed and Greedy Fly in Mouth.
Yes, that was a big one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then they came out with Golden State in 2001, which actually includes Sarah's favorite Bush song, The Chemicals Between Us.
Yeah, I love that song. It's so great.
It is a good song.
Yeah.
I remember, so in 2001, I was starting high school. I remember when the song came out, and I liked it even back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not their biggest, maybe commercially.
Well, that's
But-
what happened. Golden State didn't do well commercially. So in 2002, Bush did end up breaking up.
Okay.
And I feel like this was a big trend with a lot of powerhouse 90s bands. They did so well in the 90s, and then by the early 2000s, pop music was really in.
Yeah.
Rap and hip hop were making a big comeback. They were
Yeah.
really in, and unfortunately, people just didn't care about rock music as much anymore.
Yeah, it was a different time.
It was a different
a
time.
new era.
Yeah, and
for
then
sure.
us millennials, we weren't listening to rock as much anymore. So these bands like Bush, or I think of Smashing Pumpkins, they came out with Machina in 2001. Oasis came out with Heathen Chemistry and Standing on the Shoulder of Giants in the early 2000s.
Well, and in 2001, you also like the Strokes and the White Stripes. That
garage rock,
guitar
yeah.
revival was
Yeah,
kind
that's
of
true.
the big thing.
That's a
too.
good point too.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of these 90s, like I said, just like powerhouses didn't do as well in the 2000s, and people were kind of like, I don't care about you guys anymore. So a lot of these bands ended up breaking up because Smashing Pumpkins broke up, and then
Oh, yeah.
Oasis, it took a little bit longer, but they eventually broke up too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then even you think of No Doubt, I'm just thinking because obviously I'm a big Gwen fan. They stayed together, but they totally changed their sound in the early 2000s. They came
Yeah.
out with Rocksteady.
Yeah. That was very different. Yeah. So they moved with the times, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, of course, now the whole 90s nostalgia, a lot of these bands have come back and have done well for themselves.
Oh yeah, that 90s nostalgia is huge now, and I think yeah, us millennials getting a bit older, getting nostalgic for our childhood and the sounds of that
and
time.
I feel like with Bush at the show we went to a few weeks ago, you could feel the nostalgia. Like you could feel, I could see around me, I could physically see people just getting really into the music.
Oh, definitely.
Especially when they played their big hits. Like, man,
For
there was
sure.
this one guy during Glycerin that I was just like, man, like kudos to you. Like you are feeling it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
So speaking of the concert and nostalgia, let's start diving into our concert review of Bush. And let's start with what is arguably one of the biggest pillars of a concert, the set list.
The set list. Yeah.
So what did you think, Sarah, of the Bush set list?
Yeah, I thought it was great. I'm one of those I go to Setlist FM before a show to see how the band
Yeah.
okay.
I love doing that.
And especially with Bush because I don't know Bush beyond their singles, although I know this concert was like called Loaded Greatest Hits.
Yes,
So
so
I
they did
figured
focus all
it'd
on their
be
greatest
their
hits. Yeah.
big hits. But I did take a look at the set list of their past shows from the like 4 or 5 nights before
Yeah.
the night we were going. And I made a playlist of the
I did
order
the
of
same
that
exact
set list.
thing. Yeah.
Because I love that. I love hearing the song on the record and then to see how they're going to perform it live, right?
I just that too for sure, and I like familiarity at a concert. I don't know.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
when they start a song, you're like, oh sweet, this is like this song.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
rather than
I love
thinking,
that.
"Ugh, I don't know this track.
Yeah,
I
it's
just like
great.
to know.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too.
So
Me
they
too.
they stuck to their set list, like
They stuck to
very close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but there's a reason they do
Yeah.
that same set list. Great flow. I thought
Yes.
the style they started with.
Started with Everything Zen.
I thought that was great.
Yep.
I'm really excited. I'm really happy they played The Chemicals Between Us. I know
They
it's
did,
not
and-
their
and early.
biggest hit,
That
but
was like
yeah,
their fourth song, I think.
yeah. So that was
Yeah.
very cool. I just thought they did a really great flow of like slower songs, more upbeat songs.
Yeah.
Right? That groove was there, and that's
Yeah,
so
it
important
flowed
for
really
a
well.
concert. It did flow really well.
Yeah, and even the beginning, they started with Everything Zen, which was big, not one of their biggest hits, but a big hit.
Yeah.
Then they went to Machine Head, and people were just like so excited
That was
because
a
that
great
was
second song.
probably a
Yeah.
bigger hit.
yeah.
And they did, I think, also it was good flow, and they did a really good mix of new and old.
Yes. They didn't do just like the early '90s
No.
huge hits. They did some later ones, like "Flowers on the Grave."
Yeah, Flowers on a Grave.
I didn't really know that song.
That's a good
and,
song.
it is.
Yeah.
It is. Heavy as the Ocean.
Oh, I really like Heavy as the Ocean.
Those two really
Yeah.
grew on me when I was listening to Bush before the show. So yeah,
All
as
Things
you
Must
said,
Change. I really like that too.
that's a good one.
So that was
Yeah.
another thing I really like about this concert is, as we've said, me more so than you. I was a Bush fan, but not a huge Bush fan. But going to the show and listening to the set list beforehand, it really got me into their newer stuff.
Yeah.
By new, I mean like 2010 and beyond. But
No, but
their later stuff.
The later stuff,
Yeah.
has a little bit more of a, I don't know if I'd say electronic vibe, but
kind of an electronic techie vibe because
little
All
bit of a
Things Must
tech vibe.
Change.
Yeah,
His
yeah.
voice like echoes a bit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Bush did an encore, so they went off stage, come back
Yeah.
on. Personally, I love when bands do that.
Oh, I love an
especially at a rock
encore.
concert.
So disappointing
Yeah.
when they don't do an encore.
And you they're going to come back. They're going to play that song, and
Well,
they did.
And I think in terms of the Bush concert, we all knew they were going to play Glycerin and Come Down.
Well, that's the thing. They're going to come back and
so
play
even
those
if
big
you
songs.
hadn't looked at the set list beforehand, like you and I did, everyone knew like they're going to play Glycerin and Come Down. They have to.
Yeah,
Or else there'd
exactly.
be a lot of disgruntled fans.
Oh my gosh, yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
And I thought "Come Down" was the final song. Great final song.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
They-
My husband even mentioned he loved how like Gavin let us all sing along with him, and
Yeah.
everybody knew the words.
Oh,
I
for
mean,
sure.
you even know
Yeah.
the words to that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
it's a great song, and a great closer for
Yes.
the concert. They did a cover of "Come Together."
Yeah, see, you had known that. I didn't read that before, and that was a nice, pleasant surprise.
Yeah, they did a really good
Yeah.
job of "Come Together." I thought that
Yeah.
was really good.
Yeah, that's always probably been one of my favorite Beatles tracks.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
I'm not like
okay.
don't shoot me, but I'm not like a huge Beatles fan.
Yeah, that's
but
fine.
I respect the Beatles.
Yeah.
And yeah, if I was to listen to the Beatles, that's definitely one of my go-to Beatles
It's a
tracks.
good one.
Yeah,
and in the Bush style,
they did a very
really
good job.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
didn't butcher it.
No,
They didn't butcher
no.
the cover. They did a very
No,
good way.
no, they did it in a Bush way, but in a respectful way.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
Yeah.
their style is of course very different from the Beatles.
Yeah.
But no, it was great. Set list was really good.
My only critique on the set list is, as I mentioned earlier, Swallowed, my favorite Bush song. Always loved that song. Even when it first came out in 97 as a 10-year-old little girl, I thought it was a cool song. And Gavin, they did like I don't know if you remember, they did like a slight little break and then they came back out.
Yes.
And Gavin came out by himself and started singing Swallowed. And it was pretty. It was nice. It was just him singing, no guitars. I think there was even kind of like a choir type sound in the background while he
Okay.
was singing it.
Yeah.
So it was very pretty. And I was like, okay, this is a cool way to start it. But let's get on with the, instruments. I'm waiting, and then he just starts playing. I think after that, I don't remember what song it was. Was it Flowers on a Grave?
I can't remember.
Anyway, he just starts playing the next track, and I was like, oh, that's all we're going to hear of Swallowed.
Yeah.
So, Sarah, again, you had already read that it's
I knew that because it just said like a Gavin solo.
Gavin solo. So Sarah was anticipating that, and Swallowed is also not your favorite Bush song.
Yeah.
So you weren't really disappointed, but just as someone who really wanted to hear like the hard rock out version, initially I was disappointed. Then I started thinking more about it, and I'm like, well, like they're a band, they have a creative license, they can do what they want to do. At least they did play part of it. And my favorite line of that song is like, "Whirled on a fish hook, you're the wave." And he did sing that part. People got really emotional about it.
Yeah.
And also after the show the next day, a few people that I follow on Instagram posted Instagram stories of the show. And the one childhood friend of mine, she posted him singing Swallowed, and she had way better seats than we did. She was like right up close. And I did notice he was super emotional singing it.
Yeah.
Gavin.
Yeah.
So, I got to think he's not a robot. He's not just there to serve us. He is also an artist.
Yeah.
And with his own ideas and opinions. And maybe it's a triggering song for him, Swallowed. Maybe it makes him think of Gwen and his breakup and his divorce. Maybe he wrote it for Gwen. I mean, they got together in 95. The song's from 97. Maybe he wrote it about Gwen. So maybe he just doesn't want to sing it in the rock out version because it makes him, too emotional.
That's a really good point. These bands that are now a bit older, nostalgia, they have to play their hits from the 90s, and they have their own personal emotional attachment to these songs. So that's a really good point. Like, it's like, I have to play this song, but it's a really emotional one for me.
Yeah.
That can be really tough.
Because I mean, even as fans, not as the artists ourselves, like we have triggering songs where you hear it and you're just like, I can't listen to this right now. I'm not in a right mindset,
Oh, definitely.
So I'm gonna give Gavin the benefit of the doubt that that's why he didn't do the rocked out version and just kept it to the little solo version. And it was still good. It was nice. I'm not gonna sit here and say I didn't enjoy it. I was just expecting a bit more.
I liked it because it was just the one song that was a little bit different, but being your favorite song, I understand the disappointment and how it was delivered
and it's
at
such
the concert.
A good song. Like if you're ever, honestly, if you're ever going through a heartbreak, listen to Swallowed. It's such a like warm blanket comfort song because it's just you could just feel the heartbreak Gavin's going through, so it's comforting in that sense.
It's so good. Yeah, and you're right. Maybe it is for him like a real heartbreak song of something that went on in his life. Yeah.
Okay, so let's move Sarah from the set list to another very important pillar of a concert, band energy.
Yeah.
What did you think of the energy of the band?
I thought it was great.
Me too.
I thought they were on point. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier in our conversation, but they seemed very genuine and happy to be there.
Yes, they did.
And Gavin, he talked a lot to the audience.
He did.
Not too much. Sometimes you go to some concerts and they talk too much or they don't talk enough.
Yes.
I thought Gavin did a good balance.
Yeah.
Again, this isn't his first time. This must be like his 1,000th
but
concert.
I like how he talked. He talked to the audience, and like at least twice, he mentioned it's a sold out show. He seemed very, and not cocky about it, like very happy, like, kind of like, thank you guys, this is a sold out show.
That must feel good.
Let's make the most of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he even mentioned a little bit of touring other parts of Canada. I thought that was kind of cool that he made a point to mention Canada and
very cool.
Acknowledge that he was on Canadian land.
Yeah.
And I just thought they seemed happy to be together, and then they seemed happy to be performing to us, which is a nice feeling as someone who pays money to go to a concert.
It is. And they just seemed on.
Yeah, they really did.
For the night. And you're right, on stage, it felt like they had very good chemistry.
They did.
And it projected onto the audience really well.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah, because keep in mind, Gavin Rossdale is the only original member.
Yeah.
He's the only original one from the 90s. But I'll be honest, I don't know how long the other members have been in the band, but you said they've been in for quite some time.
I mean,
this is
Wikipedia, but I think those most of them came in the early 2000s. So they've been together for a while.
They played together for a long time.
Yeah.
I also really liked how they started the show with the solo drum.
Yes.
Or sorry, the drum solo.
Yeah.
No, the drummer was like,
that was really
again,
good.
Great energy. He seemed really excited to be there and to play the drums.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought it was good. And it's like just very bare bones. Like they didn't really have much on stage.
No.
Some lights, like
Some
a
lights,
real
and the
rock
drummer
concert.
was elevated. That was kind of
Oh,
cool.
yes, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, they didn't focus too much on like I don't even think they had a screen in the background or anything.
I was going to say that was my one thing. Like no big screen to see a close up of
very
the
basic bitch.
Yeah, very very basic. Yeah. But
they kind of made up for it because their energy was so good.
Well, that's
you know
it.
What I mean?
That's it. Maybe they knew that. Like they're so energetic, and I think we talked about this. Like Gavin, he just has such a presence on stage.
That guy must be. So this guy's turning 60 this year, and he is in amazing shape.
Oh my gosh!
Because he moved around a lot. So I didn't realize this. I haven't actually watched a lot of Bush live on YouTube or anything. I didn't realize sometimes he doesn't play the guitar, and he actually kind of like not dances, but like really moves around.
Yeah, I remember Heavy as the Ocean.
Yeah,
he was like walking all around. He does move around a lot.
And then during Flowers on a Grave, so earlier in the show, he had mentioned like, oh, later on, I'll come out to see you all. So you're kind of like, okay, I don't know what you're talking about, whatever. But then no, like during Flowers on a Grave, he actually starts to go into the audience, and he walked like through the whole audience.
Oh my God, he walked. The auditorium isn't massive.
No, it's not a huge venue,
but big enough.
Yeah,
and he like walked up. It's like a hockey arena, so he walked up all the stairs.
Yeah,
goes all through the floor and walks up the other stairs on the other side.
Yeah,
I also, because of Setlist FM, I knew that he walked out a bit, but I didn't know he was going to do that much.
And what I also really appreciated about that, so like, first of all, it's really cool that you made the point to walk through the audience, and he hugged a lot of fans.
Yes.
And he seemed very genuinely happy to see his fans.
He did.
And for people like me and Sarah and my husband and friend who also came, he unfortunately didn't come to our section, so we didn't get to see him. But what I liked is that they kept playing the song. Yeah. So, and he sang as he went through the audience, so we weren't bored. Do you know what I mean? It was interesting.
Yeah. That's a really good point because that took a while. Like,
that took the whole song, and then I think I think it took longer than the song because the band kept playing.
But they kept playing, but it worked. It worked. It was a good flow. And I mean, I guess I'm just like, for safety reasons, like
the thought of like thousands of strangers sweaty all over me. Is just I was like so kudos to you, Gavin, for doing that.
Yeah, like really.
Yeah, and you could get some really erratic fan like pulling at you and stuff. Now I didn't notice. He probably had a security guard around him.
Yeah, maybe they knew he was going to do that, and I mean, it was a pretty tame crowd.
Yeah, it was.
But you're right. Like I was like, ooh, yeah. And then he hugged a lot of the crowd. I saw he hugged like this teenager and stuff. Like, just really, just seemed like really sweet.
Yeah, he did. It was really sweet. It wasn't grandiose and over the top. It was just nice. It was one song going through the crowd, and I thought it was really cool.
Yeah,
I was hoping he'd come to our spot, but
no, he missed us.
Too far back.
yeah.
Next time, Gavin, please come to our spot. Yeah. So then, on the topic of Gavin, we got to obviously go into how did Gavin look and sound. Gavin is hot.
Gavin's hot. So that just sums it up. Like Gavin is hot.
I'm late. I'm kind of late on the train of liking Gavin. I remember my childhood friend loving Gavin, being like, "Oh, my sister thinks he's so hot. Like he's so dreamy." And I remember kind of being like, "I don't really see it." But I was also like 8 years old, so I probably like GTT at the time or something.
Oh yeah, who didn't?
But man, so it took me like 25 years, but I'm like, wow, now I understand why girls and not just everybody thinks like you are so attractive.
Yeah, he's got this magnetism to him. Like, Gavin, he's hot and he still looks good. Mind you, I didn't see him like up close.
Yes, obviously we weren't like super close.
He looked really good from far away.
Yeah.
Most people do.
But even the way he was moving around, like he wasn't huffing and puffing.
No, and he was wearing this nice shirt. Like, he looked like he must work out. I don't know.
Oh my God, I would think he works out. Yeah.
And you're right. Like you make a good point. Like for 60, like moving around on stage.
Oh my God. Like I can't imagine. Like I have so much props to like artists that tour because like I go up the stairs and I'm like, whew, I'm winded. So I can't imagine just like for like 90 minutes a night running around the stage.
Well, and just sitting in the audience, I'm like exhausted after the show.
Oh, I know.
So actually being on stage and
singing,
doing it,
like singing is a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Playing drums too or guitar.
All of
this
it.
is like, So
must be,
kudos
like,
to you musicians.
pooped. Yeah, no,
But
definitely.
Gavin looked good. And I like
He
how
did.
he's brought the 90s longer hair back.
Yeah, he looked really good. Fine wine, definitely.
Fine wine indeed.
Wow.
And even his shoes were cool.
I don't remember.
He had like these cool sneakers. Like his style is really cool.
Yeah, he's got a cool vibe.
Yeah.
Gavin. Yeah.
Such a cool vibe.
No, I've grown to really appreciate Gavin Rossdale more and more in my older age.
I believe he's even a grandpa right now. Like I think because he had that one, he had Daisy Lowe with Frollo. I believe she had a kid. So like he's a grandpa. Like man, that is not what you think of when you think of a grandpa.
No, it's not.
No,
definitely.
So, I hate to sound like really superficial and phony and be like, oh, how did he look? But we have to mention how good he looked.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but we just do.
Yeah, no, it's necessary.
Yeah. Okay, Sarah, well, I think we've gone over a lot of the important details of the show.
Oh, yeah.
So let's end our review by each sharing what our favorite song was at the show. Does it have to mean it's your favorite Bush song? Just the song you felt the most emotion or just the most enjoyment at the show?
Yeah, as I mentioned, The Chemicals Between Us is my favorite Bush song, and they did play it, and it was really great and awesome to hear live. My favorite song, though, in this concert was Heavy is the Ocean.
That's a good track.
Yeah. I didn't really know it very well. But then listening to the set list in preparation for the concert, it really grew on me. And that was one. Gavin didn't play the guitar, but he's like walking around on stage. Mm-hmm. It was kind of a bit near the end, but the energy was still there in the band. Yeah. I just thought it was a really cool rendition of the song.
Yeah, and that's one of those songs that I didn't really know of Bush before getting ready for this show.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
As I mentioned earlier, I haven't listened to much of their later discography, but it's a really good song.
I'm
glad going to the show introduced me to it.
Yeah, I recommend checking it out if you don't know it.
I'm going to go kind of cliche. I'm going to go with Come Down.
Oh, that was great.
That song's just, as I've said before, it's gotten me through some tough times, through thick or thin. Yeah. And they just did a really good job. I think it was near the end of the show, so everyone was just so pumped and the energy was there. And as I mentioned, there was a few people around me that were just so into it. And that was just really nice to see as a music fan, just music bringing people together. I think Gavin even mentioned that during the show.
Yeah, it's so nice.
And I just got really into it. It's my husband's favorite Bush song, and we were just really happy to hear it. And I think they did a really good job of it.
Yeah.
And I think save the best for last, right?
I was going to say, it was a really, really great closer.
It was.
For the concert.
Yeah. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in and listening to our latest episode.
Yeah, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time. Katie and I post a new episode every other Friday. We are on YouTube and Spotify.
And we just want to remind everybody that girls like rock too. And don't forget to hit subscribe.